Hey, this is Tyler with TJX Survival. Today we're going to talk to you about taming the three most important things you need to tame with muzzle recoil. It is the arc, the kick, and the muzzle rise. So stay tuned. When you shoot a pistol, you need to hold the pistol with your bones. Just simply stated, hold it with your bones. What does that mean? If anything isn't locked, then the muscles will tend to shake and eventually droop or cause wobble. And if you can imagine, I've got a muzzle here aiming downrange, and any little bit of movement here is compounded logarithmically out there, meaning any little shake I have back here becomes a big shake downrange. If you don't believe me, get a laser, shine it at a wall, then shine it at a mountain. Your wobbles expand massively. So what do we do to tame that? Okay, Crystal is here helping me out. Essentially what she's going to do is get in an isosceles stance. Okay, she's going to get in an improper isosceles stance. Yeah, go ahead and do it wrong.
Okay, do it wrong.
So
that's what I do best, doing things wrong.
So she's doing it wrong. So what's happened here is a lot of times people, they have to tend to like lean it back because they feel like they got to do that to hold up this heavy weapon. The problem is when it fires, it puts them on their can. All right?
Just like that.
So the three things we do to stop the arc, the kick, and the muzzle rise, which are arc is, drop that hand. Arc is the slap in the wrist. Kick is the force backwards. Okay? And muzzle rise comes from the shoulder or the elbow and rises the muzzle. We want to kill all of these things so the pistol just actuates and doesn't move. All right? So to kick, to tame the kick and to tame the backwards force of it, what she's going to do is lock her right elbow out and then lock her left elbow out and bring her hands together. All right? So she's doing a thumbs forward grip on this. When that elbow is locked, nothing's going back. It's not going to move her back. All right? But she's doing it correctly because she knows what she's doing, and I should have brought someone that's a total novice.
Here, I'll do it wrong.
Okay, so
I told you I can do it wrong.
So she's doing it wrong, and that causes this type of emotion to come back. When she locks it out for the isosceles, and I know there's a weaver and there's an isosceles, I'm just going to show you one today. I've done both. This is the one I like the most. Once these elbows are locked, the bones are holding it. It can't move back. Okay, but the next thing we have to work on is the arc. So let's go with this and hold on with your right hand. So let's say this arm's locked out. She's ready to shoot, but when it kicks, she's not gripping it correctly and she gets this high arc. The reason this is a problem is because if she shoots the first time and she needs a quick secondary shot, she's got to get it back on target and then she can shoot.
And I'm probably going to overcompensate when I'm putting back on target.
And that's a big issue because if your target moves during that time frame, you lose the gunfight, and that's not someplace you want to be second place. So to compensate for that, she sticks her hand out here and grips the pistol. She has the majority of her grip with this left hand since she's right-handed.
That's right.
And basically she's putting a backwards force right here against the bottom of the pistol. And that stops this motion from happening. So she tightens it up, and as I start to move it, now the only thing that I have to tame is that rise. So we've dealt with the kick. We're dealing with the arc. The last thing is the shoulder joint muzzle rise. Unless she fails at the kick level and it becomes an elbow joint muzzle rise, right? So what she does to compensate that is she prepares like she's getting ready to jump off of a diving board. Engages forward. This is the hardest thing that I have to get students to do, is to lean into the target. Once that happens,
a lot of times what happens is people start out like this and they end up like this.
And then when that happens, your kick happens and it rolls them on the trash.
That's right.
That's dangerous. So if she's holding it correctly, what we're going to do is we need a credit card level space underneath the heel. The feet are square on the line, the knees are bent, the butt's sticking out, and the body is engaged forward like a fighter. Okay? So when I simulate this kick, thump, 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 and I'm hitting this really hard, how much do you weigh, if we can say that?
I weigh like 135.
That's not a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I weigh 184-ish, and I'm thumping this very hard. That hurts, but you notice a pistol's not going anywhere. Okay? If she loosens up the wrist when I do that, we have an arc problem. She loosens up the elbow, we have a kick problem. If she stands too straight up and she has a good wrist and a good arm, we have a muzzle raise problem. Okay? So those are the 3 things that you need to tame.
We're on the range. We're taming the arc, the kick, and the muzzle rise. And we're going to show you what that looks like when rounds are actually headed downrange.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the wrong way and what it looks like when it fails. And then I'm going to show you the right way and how we correct those failures. All right. So if my arms aren't locked out, they're kind of limp wristing it, I get a good bolt backwards. All right? Now, if I lock my arms out, check that out, I hit the rabbit on accident. I mean, I totally did that on purpose.
Totally did it on purpose.
All right, so if I lock my arms out to handle that kick, but I'm not gripping the wrist very well, I get a hard pull back on the pistol. Okay? And then finally, if I'm leaning back, but the other 2 are good, and I shoot it, it pulls me backwards. So the culmination of all those things done correctly is the arm's locked out, the elbow's forward, okay, so I have a lock, the wrist is solid because of my left hand, and I engage it, and that gives me the ability to be more accurate. Okay? That way I didn't take a lot of time aiming, but at that distance, all of my rounds hit where they needed to hit. All right? They were close enough. There you go. So that's with the ability to shoot fast, but not as accurate. Yeah, I can tighten my groups up, but at this distance, it really doesn't matter.
This is what I see all the time on the range, and as I shoot here, you can see my hands go up, and I can actually feel the firearm almost induce a malfunction because I'm not gripping and putting the weight behind that fire to control that recoil. All right, and then we're gonna show you the real one. You're gonna put that torso forward, butt back, knees bent, feet at shoulder width apart, firearms straight out in front of you. Control that weapon. All right? Now, you just saw me do a reload, something we haven't talked about, but it's very important. When you're in a gunfight, you get run out of ammo, you got to reload that weapon. And the best way to do that is to shoot your firearm dry. You're going to have that slide rack back and stay back in a locked position. You're going to get your thumb on that magazine release button, get that magazine out, let it go on the floor. Don't worry about it, okay? Because we're not worried about that empty magazine. It's not doing us any good. We're gonna take a magazine from off of our belt, okay? And we're gonna grip it just like this. See that? And I'm indexing this first round on the top of my magazine. This helps me do a couple of things. One, it allows me to know that there's actually rounds in that magazine and I'm not putting an empty magazine in my gun. And 2, it helps me to feed that magazine into the gun. So I'm gonna do that. And that magazine's gonna go up into the gun. Okay?
That's my big one.
It's a big one. Okay, so it sticks out a little bit, but that's okay, it'll still work. And then I'm gonna rack that round in, and then, and I'm out again.
All right, so if you want to test whether or not your arc, kick, and muzzle rise is being tamed correctly, you can either videotape yourself, have someone watch you, or if you're at the range, you get a blank piece of paper, you put one hole in it like this. Move that out a little bit. Put one hole in it. Okay. And then try to shoot that same hole again and again and again. I'll induce a little bit of failure, and then I'll do it correctly, and it will show you how, if you're consistently trying to shoot that one hole, you've aimed small, and therefore you will miss small. Of a wibble wobble there. So I'm going to move it out a little more, and I'm always aiming at that same hole. So now my spread pattern should get a little bit bigger and be a little more ugly. going a little bit low, but I can tell that's because of my grip was improper. And the further out I go, the more I'm going to see my failures. All right. Okay, that was about 10, 15, and 20 meters. It's not perfect. I could tighten my grips up for sure. However, if you can imagine at those distances on a human, that's plenty good. No matter where I move that at, it's still all made it in the chest center, which is your objective if you're trying to defend your life.
If this video has been valuable to you, please subscribe, comment below, or like us. Thanks for watching. This is T-Jack Survival. Blue versus orange, go!
It's red versus blue, but yes.
No, it's blue versus orange, see?
Have you seen red
Yes,
versus blue?
yeah,
Yes.
red
Okay.
versus blue.
Okay. And then we'll edit that out.
That's why